The body is barely cold, and already the knives are out. With the death of Pope Francis, the most powerful religious throne on earth lies vacant. But this time, the whispers echoing through the marbled corridors of the Vatican are not business as usual. They carry the weight of a storm, because for the first time in 1,500 years, the throne of St. Peter might go to someone Rome has never truly welcomed, a Black African. And that possibility isn't just a change of robes, it's a revolution. Behind every candlelit prayer is a political calculation. Every bowed head hides ambition, and every smiling cardinal in scarlet red could be hiding the one thing the Vatican fears most: reform. So now the question isn't just who will be pope. The real question is, will Rome dare to crown the future, or will it bury it? In this video, let's find out. Pope Francis didn't name his successor, but he did something far more radical. He laid a trap for the old order. Instead of endorsing a single candidate, he shifted the entire center of gravity. Through appointments that reached into the barrios of Argentina, the back streets of Manila, and the forest parishes of Congo, Francis redrew the lines of battle not in ink, but in blood, struggle, and sweat. Now, the power to choose the next pope no longer rests solely with aging European theologians. It now sits uneasily among cardinals whose first encounter with the church may have been as victims, rebels, or barefoot altar boys in war zones. He didn't hand over a clean church. He left a divided one, a church where the pastoral meets the political, where spiritual authority clashes with global inequality, and where cardinals from the global south don't just have votes, they have voices. The new battlefield isn't doctrine, it's direction. It's no longer about defending a crumbling hierarchy, but deciding whether the church will follow its faithful principles or cling to its throne. Surprisingly, out of the 137 cardinals eligible to vote, only 21 are from Africa, a figure that seems marginal. But these numbers mask a larger tremor beneath the marble floors of the Vatican. Because for the first time, the margins are becoming the center. African voices are no longer content to be seen. They demand to be heard. And the question haunting the apostolic corridors is no longer, should they be considered, but how do we stop them from winning? The ghost of Francis doesn't whisper endorsements. It shouts implications. He rewired the conclave, making it impossible to crown a new pope without facing the fire he ignited. He left no successor. What he left was a minefield, and Africa is stepping into it with purpose. You see, Africa isn't rising in theory. It's rising in practice, in structure, in soul. Today, more than 272 million Catholics call Africa home, but the numbers alone are just the entry point. What matters is trajectory. While Europe watches empty pews gather dust and repurposes churches into art galleries and coffee shops, Africa is building temples with its bare hands. It is filling benches in churches, not with aging remnants of a golden age, but with children, choirs, youth ministries, and movements. Catholicism in Africa is not a heritage. It's a heartbeat. From the overflowing cathedrals of Kinshasa to the vibrant Sunday processions of Kampala, the African church is not preserving tradition. It is creating momentum. In cities like Lagos, sermons are broadcast over loudspeakers, not because there's space, but because the faithful stretch beyond the walls. In Nairobi, churches are running out of Bibles because they cannot keep up with the conversions. And in places like Burkina Faso, priests celebrate Mass under military escort, not because of spectacle, but because of danger. This is not the story of a grateful offshoot. This is the artery pumping life back into a Western body that has forgotten how to breathe. And the clergy rising from this soil? They are not administrators of calm. They are generals of faith in the trenches. They preach while rebels march past their gates. They bless the dying, not from behind glass, but with their hands stained in blood and prayer. They manage orphans, bandage wounds, mediate tribal feuds, and baptize in rivers filled with both mud and gunpowder. In this climate, pastoral sensitivity is not a theory, it's survival. So when one of these men, an African cardinal, steps forward as a serious contender for the papacy, it is not a stunt, it is a signal. A pope born of the margins would not be an aesthetic nod to diversity. He would be a disruption to a system designed to exclude him. He would not walk in as a symbol, he would march in as a reckoning. And the very system that taught Africa to kneel may now have to learn what it means to stand. From the rising tide of African Catholicism emerges a confrontation that now rests on three shoulders. Three contenders whose names provoke anxiety and debate in equal measure. The question is no longer whether an African pope is possible. It is, which version of Africa does the Church dare to crown? Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black Africa. Let's continue now. Cardinal Peter Turkson stands as the embodiment of seasoned hope. At 76, he is the Vatican insider who never sold his soul. Ghanaian by birth, global in vision, he rose under Pope Francis as the head of the Dicastery for Integral Human Development. His mission? Bridging faith with justice, economic equity, peace building, and environmental protection. He walked corridors of power without losing the humility of his roots. But it is precisely his honesty that unsettles Rome's old guard. He has spoken too plainly about financial transparency, too loudly against hypocrisy, and too often in favor of bold reform. Respect surrounds him, but fear lurks behind it. Because Turkson, for all his diplomacy, might just open the Vatican's closets, and not everyone inside wants the light. Then there is Cardinal Fredeny Ambongo Bassungu, the Storm. At 65, the Archbishop of Kinshasa is no one's compromise. He has walked with protesters, spoken out against government corruption, and dared to say what others only whisper. His theology may be orthodox, but his activism is insurgent. He is the voice of a continent that's tired of waiting for Rome's blessing. Africa's youth chant his name because he speaks their language of justice, defiance, and courage. To his supporters, he is the revolution the Church needs. To his critics, he is too fast, too loud, too dangerous. But no one calls him irrelevant. In a conclave built on coded diplomacy, Bassungu doesn't speak in code. He speaks in fire. And finally, Cardinal Robert Sarah, the paradox in scarlet. At 79, he is the twilight candidate of tradition. A favorite of the conservative bloc, Sarah champions the Latin Mass, moral absolutism, and a church untouched by the modern world. His African identity is undeniable, but so is his alignment with Rome's most resistant factions. For many, he is the Vatican's answer to diversity without disruption. Electing him would satisfy calls for change while preserving the status quo. But therein lies the danger. Sarah would be the mask of transformation, a symbol without substance. To the faithful longing for a new era, his papacy could feel like betrayal cloaked in familiarity. Now we see three contenders, three fates and one throne that can only carry one crown. These men do not only compete for power, they represent three visions of what the Church could become. And for the Vatican's inner sanctum, that's the true crisis. Because this isn't about theology, it's about infrastructure, about what happens when centuries of quiet European control are threatened by a new spiritual geography. Behind the gold-lined rituals and sacred vestments lies a matrix of donors, diplomats, and discreet favors. The Catholic Church is not just a body of faith, it is an empire of influence, one that answers to European bankers, American politicians, and elite curial strategists who have kept papal succession within a narrow band of predictability. Now, a Black African pope with a spine for reform threatens to upend all of it. He could call for audits on opaque Vatican funds, He could sever ties with regimes complicit in oppression. He could speak truths about colonialism that Rome never wanted recorded. To many of the faithful, these sound like overdue reckonings. But to the Vatican's power brokers, they are existential risks. The fear isn't just about what an African pope might do. It's about what they can't control once he begins. The optics of jubilant crowds, headlines declaring a new era, may bring short-term applause. But what happens when he doesn't obey the old order? When if he moved too fast, challenges too much, the very cardinals who cheered his ascent could become the architects of his fall. And so, resistance begins in shadows. Phrases like, "not ready," "too political," or "a need for unity" aren't just observations. They are weapons. They are the language of stall tactics, whispered in confessionals and echoing through embassies. Because deep down, many fear what it would mean for the Church to no longer reflect the image of Rome, but the reality of its people. Now, we have crossed the threshold. The debate is no longer about whether an African pope can rise. It is about whether the Vatican is willing to make the leap from performance to truth. Outside its walls, the Church has already transformed. In Africa, Catholicism isn't dying. It's detonating. It's building new cathedrals. While Europe counts empty pews, Africa counts new vocations. The energy has shifted. The center has moved. But the crown? Still firmly held by the past. Now the College of Cardinals stands before a decision that history will not forget. They can either elect a man who mirrors the demographic and spiritual center of the Church, or they can retreat behind velvet curtains and crown another custodian of yesterday. But know this, the faithful are watching. The world is waiting, and heaven, perhaps, is listening. Because in 2025, the most radical act the Vatican can commit is not a doctrinal shift or a new encyclical. It is to look into the face of its most loyal sons and finally say, "Lead us." Africa has waited 1,500 years. The question is, how much longer must it wait? What do you think? Is the Vatican truly prepared to crown a Black African pope? Or is this just another ceremonial nod to diversity without substance? Tell us why the continent that now holds the future of global Catholicism has never been allowed to hold its highest seat. In the comment section below, share your thoughts on hidden forces like bankers, diplomats, and lobbyists influencing the next papal election behind closed doors? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We bring videos on Black Africa, its history, rich arts and culture, and things the world should know about. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.